Shalom to the elect, giving all praise and glory to Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, Bahashem Kakodash, and giving double honor to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, who well. Peace and salutation to the elect. Shem Al Mafans and Mappa from the Great Millstone Plaintables Camp, coming with another new lesson. You have it here off of Bull Boom Bear Bus. Fair use warning, only this footage. This is for educational purpose and journalism purposes only. I believe that'd be Jason. Yeah. So we're gonna play this right now. People are angry as economic turmoil spreads. Investors ready to pounce. Global economy on edge. You had recently Donald Trump, and with the tariffs, a lot has went down. You have a pause that recently has happened, which, hey, the truth is coming out with that. You know, you have it a 90-day pause on the different tariffs to the different nations. Now you have Senate Democrats ask SEC to probe Trump and other for potential market manipulation and tariff pause, right? And which you have it. There's a video that's being circulated throughout, and I know definitely on social media about people making a lot of money off of this financial market slowdown and increase, all right, with the stock markets and everything, because we do know that we have a global economy and everything is intermingled, and they know exactly what they're doing. Have it, if I can find this actual piece of information. I'll have to find it. It was said that they made a bunch of money, but I'll have to find it, or will I do? And I'll bring it out in the next lesson. But let's just go to this real quick.
Another dose. We have a lot of big developments here, economically, financially, and we're going to get into it today. We've got the tariff protests exploding, and this is the hands-off protests happening across the country, but also even in other countries. Well, this is crazy. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the tariff war, the trade war, and what just happened here today. By the way, this is Monday, April 7th, 2025. Let's go ahead and get right into it here. First of all, let's take a look and see what happened in the markets today. We're looking at the S&P 500, and it opened big time in the red. We dropped down to about 48.75. It recovered a bit. We ended up closing above 5,000 on the S&P. The day, though, we were still down 0.23%, almost 0.25%. The Dow Jones today, we're down almost 1%. And the NASDAQ, we're actually up slightly on the NASDAQ. So it wasn't as crazy as a lot of people predicted. There were predictions of a Black Monday and the biggest market crash of all time. Of course, we did not see that. And we know the powers that be behind the scenes. At least most of you should know that there are forces behind the scenes, such as the plunge protection team and other ways they can keep these markets propped up. Even if the investment community is scared and they want to sell off, there's other ways to keep the market from plunging. Again, plunge protection team, many other ways out there that keep this propped up.
Which you have a shadow government. Okay, You have other people, the elite bankers that really are pulling all the strings behind and closed doors. You just have like guys like Donald Trump and different of these political talking heads that are at the forefront, but they are bought and paid for and just doing the bidding of the banking families, starting with the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, DuPonts, just to mention a few. And that's the true government, okay? That's controlling the money, okay, in this financial system that move in secret. Okay, this is gonna be workers iniquity. This is Psalms chapter 14 and verse 4, which it reads, it says, have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread and call not upon Yahweh. And these Edomites, which they are the workers of iniquity, they have obviously done all of the wickedness throughout the earth, and they have stolen territories, taken land, and renamed lands, declared war, waged war, conquered, pillaged and stolen, and have even controlled the minds of the people with different government through their democracy and philosophy. These people eat up people as if they were bread, okay? Because they're the ones that are benefiting off of all that's being done, okay? And the people, they labor, in the fields, in the world. And a lot of people, they're not happy with what's going on. Okay, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck and don't have $600 or $500 for a emergency event that may occur.
And there was speculation, though, that these agencies or entities would be defunded. But of course, the ones in power right now, they don't want the market to crash under their watch, so they're not going to defund the groups or the agencies that actually would keep the market from crashing. Of course, they would never do that. That would be like shooting themselves in the foot, right? Now, let's start with this here. For those that are looking for a big turnaround in the economy very quickly, I think you're going to be disappointed. Even the administration came out and they said it could take 2 years before these tariffs could result in an American manufacturing boom. And you know what's going to happen even after, if and when jobs do come back, manufacturing jobs come back, it's not going to make things cheaper because the demand for wages here is so much higher than these other countries. In fact, I would argue that if jobs come back, it's going to be more inflationary versus deflationary, even with the tariffs.
Yeah, because, again, in America, most people are not going to work for the same wage as the people in these other countries where these goods are being produced and then imported into America. So it's impossible for America to come back with the typical manufacturing boom. And remember, Esau Edom has artificial intelligence, AI, in which he's pushing to do a lot of these different task that most individuals can do. Okay, assembling things. It has machine learning. So even if it make an error, it'll learn how to correct, or people assist it to learn how to correct itself. So we're moving towards that complete digital system, and American manufacturing. Hey, that is a pipe dream, because as we do know, the system has been falling, has been failing. Okay, as pursuant to Jeremiah the 50th chapter, things are not gonna bounce back. They're only gonna get progressively worse. All right. So this is Jeremiah 50, and verse or it might be it's 51. Pardon me. 51 and verse 7. It says, Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, which are the philosophies, his democracies. Okay, you have different economic and plans, okay, that they set for nations, put them in debt onto them, and then they just use that to control the country and exploit them. It says the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, and the countries are acting madly. Okay, you got nations that think they're next to rule, and that's not biblical prophecy. Say how Esau, Edom is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning thereof that cometh. All right, so China is not up next, Russia is not next, and they're Edomites. Okay, Iran is not next. The Persians are Elamites. They're not up next. The Arabs, Ishmael, are not up next. It's over. It says Babylon, which is America. I mean, you see this confusion. The making America great again, all right, is nothing but witchcraft. All right, MAGA. All right, Magi. Okay, just spells and witches. That's what they have put people under, a spell, a big American spell. It says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. Okay, we got these different plots. Oh, let's put tariffs on the countries, and then maybe that'll return the countries, the companies to America. But then America then can sell their goods back to the rest of the countries and become the greater nation that it has been. First of all, for a plot for America to be made great again, that would mean America had to fall. So that's admitting on Esau, Edom's side. Okay. It says we would have healed Babylon, America, but she's not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone to his own country, for a judgment reaches unto heaven and is even lifted up even to the skies. Okay, and Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is prime ready to bring down this place. There's no healing for the different national defects, the various debts that is owed to the bankers. It's not going to be made great again. Everybody's just being made rich, while the poor is being made poor as they were going too. All right, let's go. So Trump says it would take 2 years before tariffs results in American manufacturing boom. You think you individuals have time to wait and have patience to wait for 2 years for things to improve when things are worse? And what comes with waiting? More and more policy, more and more draconian measures. Okay, because Trump has been, with Elon Musk and pushing a lot of elimination of many of your different bureaucratic departments. Okay, leading towards a lot of y'all losing jobs. Okay, you losing jobs, that lead you in confusion. What should you do? Okay, a lot of y'all are then run into gig economy jobs. Formerly I was a tech person, and I got laid off, and then I started living in my car. That's what people are doing. Still convincing themselves that they can still survive and improve.
Because again, you're going to have to pay such high wages here to American workers, manufacturing.
And these guys don't. What these American workers, so called, will not work like these other nations will work. Okay, they have a different mindset. The people are slow here. Most of them don't have the motivation, the determination to work many of these hours. Like you'll see Issachar, so-called Mexicans, will work double shifts consistently, drink Corona or Heineken or something on lunch break, and keep working more. Go to sleep, start work again at 4 or 5 in the morning to prep food for the kitchen. Okay, it's a whole different mentality. Okay, or these other nations, these Arabs come over here, they set up shop, they get a house in a certain area, they start buying all the houses in the area, they turn them into different various havens for their people to move about, and they just stay at ease with themselves and make a lot of money driving around fancy vehicles. And y'all wondering how come a nation that we destroyed in Afghani wars and war in Iraq, Operation Freedom and all of this, and how come they're doing better than me? Hey, because Esau, Edom have you people under a spell. Okay? That's why he tricked you guys. Everything was just to make money and to bring you guys lower. Job 21 and 32. This is Job 21 and 22. It reads here, I'll start at 17. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out? And how oft cometh their destruction upon them? Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua distributes sorrows in his anger, and the Lord is angry with the wicked. Okay, as we go into, there is no peace for the wicked. They are as stubble before the wind, and as chaff that stormeth, that the storms carried away. Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua layeth up his iniquity for his children. He rewarded him, and he shall know it. And we see Esau, and with his posterity, and obviously those that come of his seed, they're complaining of an ungodly father. Why? How come we can't? How come we gotta live at home? How come we can't have our own houses anymore? We gotta shack up with mom and dad. Drive mom's car. Go get the groceries for the whole house. You shopping at Aldi. You see Edomites at Aldi and stuff now and stuff when they should be at Whole Foods and Sprouts and these different co-op markets. Okay, they're starting to be as how Jake was, suffering or is. Yeah. Let's keep going on.
And it's almost like, just look at the grocery stores right now. Things made in other countries are cheaper, right? And of course, they're trying to change that with the tariffs, but things are cheaper. And it's looking like the current administration may not realize this. You've got to bring down the cost of living so companies will want to come back here. Companies do not want to pay these higher wages. That's the whole reason why companies exported jobs, outsourced other jobs to other countries to begin with, is because the cost of labor is so much cheaper. But in a country, the United States, that has $400-something-thousand median home price, you're not going to be able to pay these people low wages. And if you do, you're going to see strikes all over the place, like we saw in 2024, a record number of strikes across the country. Speaking of people striking and holding signs and walking on the sidewalk, take a look at what's happening here.
And that's all biblical prophecy too. With all of the various strikes that you see going on, the scriptures talk about how there will be uproars of the people. Okay, and I'm going to get that scripture right there. In Sirach, I believe, in the 40th chapter. This is Ecclesiasticus 41 and verse 6. It says, the inheritance of sinners shall perish. Okay, you Edomites that have profit off of old money is drying up. Okay, because the Lord is getting ready to translate the wealth to the nation of Israel, to the children of God, of power, the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans, and those Israelite foreigners that go back to the seed of Jacob. All right. And their posterity shall have a perpetual lot. Okay, we're looking at their line. Remember, they got the shameful spewing falling on their glory. Okay, everybody's looking at the different crimes and what this man has done. He's sitting there with a knife, a dagger behind his back, and then he's presenting himself as he is a savior. Okay, and he as if he's white and clean, when he really has blood all over him. Okay, and he's hiding from who he actually is, which he's Esau Edom. All right, wasted away Esau, Joshua, out of Wam, red. You know, he's red. Okay. It says, woe be unto you, ungodly. Oh, sorry. Let me get back to that. Verse 7. It says, the children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Okay, everybody's looking at Amalek. You guys, you know, they call him to Zion, right? You say that word, you know, which we know means mountain. To Zion, which is Zion, right? You'll put the is on there. Those type people, which is really, we talking about the ones that's claiming to be the Israelites. All right, to be us. Okay, the children of power, them people are being called out, you know, for being thieves. Okay, being as what they are, scourges. Okay, and having really control of everything. Okay, again, a lot of times when you see things being changed up, you can pretty much go back and find out somewhere behind the scenes a small hat is there. It says, woe be unto you, ungodly men, which have forsaken the law of the Most High. For if you increase, it shall be to your destruction. All right. Now, I'm just going to go to this again. The upwards of the people, you read that here in Ecclesiastes, or in 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter. And then we could soon pretty much move towards, you know, the end of the lesson. Because people are angry. All right. 2nd Esdras chapter 9, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before. The Lord left signs, tokens, omens, to let you know of the end of the age of the rulership of Esau. It says, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world, to judge the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and upwards of the people in the world, you had an earthquake in Myanmar that had so much destruction. All right, thousands of people got obliterated. You even got, like I say, man, like a lot of things that the Lord is shaking up the earth with. Okay, the Lord had, events of judgment, occur in different places. Like, who knows what made that collapse of a nightclub's roof over there. I think might have possibly have been in Dominican Republic, which killed a lot of these former I think baseball players and such, so-called stars. But going on, it says here, then that shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. All right, the Lord let us know through Yahweh Shai. All right, and Yahweh Shai being a prophet, of course, giving the rest of the prophets his word. Okay, and giving them the understanding so that we would know what would be. All right.
Protesting the current market drop and protesting basically everything this administration is doing.
The sounds of protests happening across the country. Massive protests aimed at pushing back against what organizers are calling a, quote, hostile takeover of American rights and freedoms by President Donald Trump and Elon.
It's not by Donald Trump. It's not by Elon. It's by Esau, period. The elite of them. All right, which they come in to push draconian measures on the people. All right, hands-off protests. They're all hands on deck on you people. Okay, you people are, as they call you, bottom feeders and just nothing but cattle. All right, for them. Meat for the slaughter.
On Musk, you're looking at video showing protesters lined up along the sidewalk in West Palm Beach. Wide movement called Hands Off. Nearly 600.
Look at this, Illinois, Minnesota, Georgia. Look at all these people, folks. This is massive. Look at the size.
A sea of people.
Look at the number of people in there. It's kind of blurry, but this is massive, folks.
Demonstrations coast to coast, from D.C. to Boston to Texas and California, protesting President Trump's policies.
Stop the insanity. Stop the confusion. But the confusion not stopping.
To Texas. Hang on, let me rewind that one. Look at that. Wow, folks.
Seas of people.
That's a lot of people. It's interesting. I mean, when you look around, you see different opinions.
You still see that bread and circus, that small man in the midst of the people playing music. So the bread and circus is there still.
Being expressed about what's happening. And, sorry, I heard a phone going off back here or something. A different opinion on what's happening. And some people say that this is a great buying opportunity. That's what I think. This is, when markets drop, I'm loving it. Because, especially now, if you knew this was coming, which you should have known this was coming for a while, this is a buying opportunity, right? Other people that are...
And that's what the elite have done. They used it as a buying opportunity. Okay? Things drop, buy cheap, things will raise.
Passive
make profit.
Investors that sat back and watched their 401ks get pummeled, they're upset. And maybe that's a lot of these people out here that you see walking on the sidewalks and holding the signs and protesting all this because maybe they lost a lot of their wealth. Or maybe they just don't like other things going on.
Yeah, you done invested, had money taken out, put away, and stored away, and now these markets are going down, right?
You're right, with the whole investigations and the cutting of these agencies. Maybe a lot of these people are federal workers or their families federal workers and they lost their jobs, or they know someone that lost a job. Either way, I mean, you got two sides of the aisle here still, like we commonly see in the United States as far as political differences.
Right. Which you have that. You know, you have the divide because the system itself is set that way. Okay, and Esau is a house divided. Okay, you have division. The Lord said that he ain't come to make to bring what peace, but a sword. Okay, and also with the Lord divided the sword. This is Matthew chapter 10 and 34. That think not, Sakia, that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man a variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's soul shall be they of their own household. Okay? You have it again, the whole system, the divide is set in how the Lord set up the system through the Edomites. Okay. This is Revelation 13 in verse 11. And I beheld another beast, America, coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. The two horns representing the two major political parties, which have two ends to the same end. Okay. At the end, you have it as draconian measure that's being instituted. It's savage and selfish rulership that's being set for you people. But they come being very, very, very convincing, persuasive. You know, hey guys, to donate to my campaign, we're gonna put our neighborhoods back to where they should be, and improve and invest into it. But we see the place is not bouncing back. The neighborhoods are not bouncing back. Things are just becoming worse. You got other nations moving into these different neighborhoods. Esau's people are not repopulating as they used to. Okay? Birth rates are low. Proverbs 13 and 12. Hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. And people are not seeing that desire, which they want America to come back. All right, they're seeing basically the nightmare, okay, because the hope, okay, is set off, okay. Soon it's gonna come back. All right, America's gonna come back. 2 years, but hey, we don't even know if America has 2 years. They can crash the markets at any time. Okay, and these people know that. And that's why they are watching the prophets. Okay, because they want to know so that they can get their way into some type of salvation. But they don't know the only salvation is due to being a Hebrew Israelite, one. And then on top of that, being of the elect. All right, which you can't make yourself the elect. You either are or you're not. That's a handpicked designation by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, preordained before the foundation of the earth. And you know, those that have trusted in this system and then not repent, if they're Hebrew Israelite, they're going to be destroyed with this system. All right, and when the new government is established, okay, then they will understand, okay, well, this was the truth. Okay, and they will know then how life being done, ruled in righteous rulership will be. Okay, and not under a deceiver, an accuser. This is Job chapter 21 and verse 19. It says, God, or Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, layeth up his iniquity for his children. He rewardeth him, and he shall know it. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what pleasure had he in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst? And that's it. The months, the times, the rulership has been cut off. He only got a little season to rule. You know, we're almost at that 250-year mark of American rulership. Okay? $248 years. Okay? And as the apostles have brought out, most major empires have what? Fallen at that 250-year mark. So, you know, we are already in the downfall of America, and the people are angry. So, hey, just prep for the end. You know, set your house in order, and pray for mercy from Yahweh Shem Yahshua. Shalom to the elect.